Porque eu ainda tô novo aqui nesse negócio aqui, tá? Live. Okay, let's get started.
There was a documentary just put out yesterday,
Yep.
a good one, by the way, people should check out, called Flatten the Curve, by a bunch of pilots and military people. That's our term. That's our flat Earth term.
All right, guys. How's everybody doing today? We have a special guest today here. Fake Flip is with us. We're going to be asking him some questions. We're going to be talking about waves on the flat Earth, okay? So first of all, I want to talk about some of the things we left from past live stream. We were talking about some of the flights. So let me share here my screen real quick. So I hope everybody's okay. So let me just show this first, guys, and then we will. First of all, big shout out to Better Than Gold. He sent me a picture of a cake here. Hold on, guys. Let me share my screen here. Add to this screen. All right, this is a extremely beautiful flat Earth birthday cake. Better Than Gold got this for his birthday. And I want to show the ones that I had. I had two so far. This one was last year, actually. This year, my wife didn't want to make me a flat Earth birthday cake. She told me, no, you have had it for 2 years in a row. So this was last year. And this one here, it was 2 years ago. Okay. And this is my family, my wife, my daughter, Erica. She has grown. She is about my height now. She's 17, Ellen, and me. So let me just, before we start talking with Fake Flip, I want to mention two things here. Last week, as we were talking about the flights, that someone told me that a guy was able to film a Qantas airplane flying over Mexico. Okay, we were talking about the flight, this one here, supposedly flies from Sydney to Houston, but on the board, we don't really see any Qantas flights coming from Mexico. You don't have a direct flight, for example, Sydney to Mexico City. You have to fly to LA, San Francisco, Houston, all that stuff. So, but it's good for you to see this thing here. Let's watch this video real quick. I think it's on mute. All right, hold on, guys. Don't know if you guys can hear. But these planes, they are all taxed. Some of them are here in Mojave Desert, okay? You have dozens and dozens of Qantas airplanes, all in the Mojave Desert, all right? Those are Qantas planes. Well, I believe it's pretty easy for them just to fly one out of Mojave Desert and land in Houston, since a lot of those airplanes, they have to be constantly being maintained and perform some flights. Otherwise, they will uh, not be up for flights anymore. So I believe this is the case right here. They just had a guy filming one of these planes flying over Mexico and, pretending it's coming from Sydney. But as we have seen before, no flights really fly south of Hawaii. Okay, they all come north of Hawaii. Another thing I want to shout out to this guy from Russia, Mitri. He has restored this Glison's map here, and he sent to me, and he's working on it. He's adding all the cities, especially the Russian cities here. So this is the Solar Impulse flight back in 2015. As we were talking last week, waypoints does not prove curvature of the Earth. On the opposite side, it actually helps the flat Earth map better, because on the flat Earth you fly from destination to destination, and there is no adjustment for curvature. And let's say if those were just regular waypoints, the airplane fly straight and level from one destination to the other. So in this particular case, the Solar Impulse flights left Abu Dhabi and then went to India. I think it's Pakistan here, I'm not sure. And then India, and then Burma, 2 stops in China, one in Hawaii, San Francisco, Phoenix, Tulsa, Dayton, New York, Seville, Spain, and back to Abu Dhabi. So this is how you fly around the world on the flat Earth map. No need for adjustments of curvature because there's none. On the ball Earth, even though they claim that the airplanes fly from waypoints to waypoints, you still have to account for curvature. And one of the debaters, I think it was Mr. Sensible, said that because of that, pilots don't have to adjust for curvature. But if you're flying over a ball, you do have to adjust for curvature. And let me see one thing else before we go ahead and start talking with Fake Flip. I think it's this one here. People ask me about, they keep saying, like the attack on Pearl Harbor, the airplanes, they were on a carrier just 200 miles north of Hawaii. But what I mean is that most of school books here in Japan, this one, in this case here, French school books, or even on the globe, they illustrate the attacks coming from Japan because it means the war was against Japan against the US, and originally all the carriers and the airplanes came from Japan. So that's why it's illustrated like this. Nobody really shows just a group of it's mostly illustrated like these attacks are coming from Japan to Pearl Harbor. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna introduce you guys to my guest today. It's a great pleasure to have him here, Fake Flip. Hello, Fake Flip. How are you, man?
Thank you very much for inviting me, Eddie. I'd like to say hello to a few guys here in the live chat. Some of them I already know, like No Fanfare just arrived just now from Australia down there, friend of ours. And Vero from Rio. I'm from Brazil, so very few people know me. But since you're introducing me now, I think I'll be I'll be known outside Brazil as well.
And you're gonna be a constant guest here as much as you want to be on our show. So guys, I want to start introducing you a little bit more about Fake Flip. I told you guys a couple of videos ago. He has first time I heard about him, I was in Tokyo driving with Mauricio, a friend of mine, and I was actually listening to Fake Flip on a live stream. And then Mauricio started telling me that he went to a debate with 4 physics professors. five physics professor. So I want him to start the show telling us this story because when I heard it, I said, well, I gotta bring this guy and introduce to my subscribers. So, Fake Flip, you have the word now. Please take over and tell us a little bit about this story about you, okay?
Okay. Well, actually, I was at the time I was not known at all. I was just a guy in the comment section, just a guy an anonymous flat earther. But because I was writing about ocean waves and how I saw that ocean waves, they can only be explained in flat Earth, and I put in the comments, and this was something that I think nobody was talking about at the time. People used to talk a lot about eclipses or astronomy, sun. People used to talk a lot about light refraction, anything except ocean waves. And I was there in the comment section mentioning, no, ocean waves, they can only be explained on flat Earth. Ocean waves are this, ocean waves are that. So this professor, he became interested, and somehow he arranged for me to go to a live stream. He didn't do it directly. He used a bait. So this guy, the bait, came to talk to me, provoked me a lot, and said, come to the live stream. I said, yeah, of course, I have nothing to fear, so let's go. But when I arrived in the live stream, so there was this professor, and he's very well known in Brazil. He's like in the United States, the Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like he's the rebuter. He's the guy who rebutes the flat Earth. So and he, in fact, he's the guy who wrote one of the best articles on ocean waves that I have read. In fact. And so I felt very honored that he was there before me in the live stream, to debate me. But it was worse for him because there is no other way to explain ocean waves other than on a flat Earth. It's even written on the theories. It's the flat Earth model. There's no other way to explain them. So we ended up talking about ocean waves, and then he denied. Basically, he denied that ocean waves are two-dimensional. And in physics, we have three types of waves, right? We have the one-dimensional waves, with the two-dimensional waves, and the three-dimensional waves. In where the three-dimensional waves, they go in space. They go all directions in space. Two-dimensional waves, they go on a surface, and it must be flat, must be a flat surface. Otherwise, it's not two-dimensional. And one-dimensional waves are on ropes or coils. They go on one single direction, which is the same direction as the travel. So the same wave, the same direction of travel is the vibration of particles. And then he said, no way. But yes, that's the only way to correctly classify ocean waves. So he ended up denying. He ended up in denial. And then, of course, he lost the debate. There's no other way to explain ocean waves other than admitting and accepting the simple fact that they are two-dimensional waves. So that was and then the debate ended with this professor giving me the finger. And obviously in silence, he was in silence because when I said to him that ocean waves are two-dimensional, he denied. And then I said, so if they're not two-dimensional, what are they? And then he went to search.
He was searching. He was Googling.
Yeah, he spent about 10 minutes searching, and then the other guys talking to me and discussing and even yelling and offending me. And then I said, well, we have an expert. Let's wait for the expert. The expert has an answer. Let's wait for him. And he was there.
Searching.
And then after about 10 minutes, he came around, and then he tried to justify what he had already denied. He first said that they're not two-dimensional. First he said that. And then he said, hey, Fake Flip, in fact, and then he found, in fact, a sphere is a two-dimensional surface. And because it's a two-dimensional surface, these waves are perfect on the sphere. I said, my goodness. I said, look, 10 minutes ago, you said they're not two-dimensional. Now you're trying to justify them on a sphere.
Okay.
So are they or not two-dimensional? I mean, the guy got into a crazy denial, and then he ended up giving me the finger, and the debate ended in about 30 minutes. And then I became known because he didn't publish the debate. They had promised that they would make fun of me. They promised that I would be ridiculed everywhere and blah blah blah, and then they didn't publish it. You know,
I see.
so that's how I was. Let's say that's how I rose. Let's say.
Okay.
I wrote to a few flat Earth channels and explained what happened. And one of them said, no, let's expose the situation right away. And then I became known, and then I started speaking just as I'm telling right now here in your channel. And then people said, "Oh, Fake Flip, what is your channel? We want to know more about ocean waves." I said, "I don't have a channel. I just don't have a channel." "Oh, so please set up a channel. Set up a channel. We want to know about ocean waves. Explain about ocean waves. Make videos." And then that's how my channel was born. You know, people started asking me. And here in the live chat, Vero won't let me lie. He knows me. He has known me since then. Actually, some people, they're here. They follow me. They've been following me since then. And that's how my channel was born. So my channel is in Portuguese language, and I explain ocean waves. I happen to be an expert. I am a surfer. I love ocean waves, and I study ocean waves. And ocean waves can only be explained. They can only be explained on a flat Earth because they're two-dimensional. First of all, that's a hard fact. They're two-dimensional. And then when it comes to ocean waves and then the shape of the Earth, we have the behavior of tsunami. The tsunami, they're so obvious, so easy to see, you know. And also in ocean waves, there's the globe model. You know, the globe model, they had to come up with waves, waves that are not real, like a unicorn. They came up with unicorns. And because I study waves, I know the unicorns that are used to explain the globe. Just as gravity is used to explain things in the globe, there's also a type of wave that is used to explain waves on the globe, because the globe needs Coriolis, the globe needs this, the globe needs that. So there is a wave that was created, a unicorn, and I also talk a lot about this because our physicists, they believe in unicorns. They believe in things that have never been seen. And there is a wave like that. It's called Rossby waves. They've never been seen, but people believe they exist. And it's like a unicorn. It's like gravity. You know, it has never been proven to exist, but still people believe it. And so when they come to debate me, they suffer a lot because it's true. They believe a unicorn called Rossby waves and other things like, you know, gravity, I don't know, lots of things, lots of unicorns to explain the Santa Claus. Basically, they believe a Santa Claus. And this Santa Claus is explained by a lot of leprechauns and unicorns. Basically, that's it.
I have the image there of, we were talking a few minutes ago. That was the earthquake in southern Chile, and see how the waves travel, and was actually contained in this region because, you know, it cannot wrap around Antarctica because Antarctica is not a continent right here. And also I have here an article. This is from NASA, actually, waves above and below the water. I did talk about this some time ago. And somewhere here, they explain that the oceans are flat, right? So let me see. I had highlighted here, but in this article here, you go to Earth Observatory NASA.gov and waves above and below the water, and they basically say here that the oceans are flat. So that's how they, you know, propagate equally as you were explaining. So let me see if there is any question here for Fake Flip. Hi, cheers, Fake Flip. Hi, there's a lot of cheers here for you, Fake Flip. Understand the traffic. Yeah, that's nice. Well, I gotta block this person here. Block user. All right, so you have been to other debates, you know, like I watched a couple of your videos. I saw I think it's Fernando or something like that. Fernando Pinocchio. Who is the Pinocchio? Tell us about Pinocchio.
He's a physicist. He's a physicist.
Okay.
He gave up physics now. He talks about politics. After me, After me, he started to quit physics, and now he has a channel talking about politics.
Oh, okay. He gave up physics and he's most like, yeah.
He's called Pinocchio. He's called Pinocchio because on the debate with me, he also denied that ocean waves are two-dimensional. You know, they deny because two-dimensional is two-dimensional. You know, it's
Yeah.
complicated for a glober to accept the fact that ocean waves are two-dimensional. So he said that ocean waves are one-dimensional, and he insisted that they are one-dimensional. So I had to get his words. I copied all his words and I made it into a hip hop satire. Hip hop comics, you know, like making fun of him. Actually, in my channel, I have about 10 hip hops from that I extract from the debates, you know, and then I transform them into hip hops to make fun of these guys, you know, because they think they know it all. They think but they actually they're nothing but denialists. So so that was Pinocchio, you know.
Okay. Now, I think about this. You told me that the guy who was searching on Google on the very first debate that you were there with against five guys.
Yeah, that
he
was
had
Fernando
published,
Lange, his name.
Right. He had published a paper, right? Is that an academic paper talking about waves being two-dimensional?
No, he never used this. He never. Actually, it's very difficult to find papers. Actually, I have never seen a paper that states that ocean waves are two-dimensional. But the fact is that they are two-dimensional, and this professor, he should know that, and still he denied that. And he's the guy who wrote the paper. He wrote a very nice and very good, very interesting paper in which he states a very interesting thing. He said that the material regarding ocean waves is so rare and so difficult to find that it's not even available to professors in university. Even for them, it's difficult to find. And it's stated in his article that because it can only be explained on flat Earth, basically, that's it. Even the simple graph of waves on the ocean, I bet people here have never seen that. I don't think people here have ever seen a graph of ocean waves. They don't do it. They put circles and they expect you to understand what's going on. So if you see a book of physics and ocean waves, you will see circles saying the propagation is in circles, and that's it. They don't put on a graph, because if you put on a graph, the result will be an axis, X and Y axis, you know, and the propagation is done on the X, so basically horizontally, and the oscillations are done on the Y, so they oscillate on the Y and travel on the X straight. That's how the graph is, but it's just a taboo. You don't find it in any material. But this professor, he put it on his article. Actually, he has the only article that I have ever seen in my entire life where you can see a graph of wave propagation on the X and Y axis. And that's how the waves behave. They behave on a straight line, really. They travel on a straight line. And it's even written on the Bible. The Bible says that too. In Isaiah 48:18. 48:18 talks about how straight waves are. They travel on a straight line.
Let me see
Ocean
here.
waves.
Isaiah 48.
Yeah, Isaiah 48 talks about ocean waves, and it's a synonym for righteousness and straightness and correctness. 48:18 Isaiah.
Okay, let me see here. Bible Gateway. Is it the whole chapter or this is specific?
No, just 48:18.
18. Okay, so all that thou hadst hearkened to my commands, that had thy peace been as a river, thy righteousness as the waves of the sea.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
So basically, God sees the waves as something right, correct, and straight, as something fair and just. So righteousness is a synonym to justice, and that's what waves are. You cannot lie to waves. So when they came to debate waves with me, it's the end of line. You know, they have to go into denial. There's no other way. Waves can only be explained on flat Earth. There is no other way. So because you cannot even the how do you say the mathematicians, physicists, the theories that explain ocean waves, even mathematically, they couldn't explain waves on a curve or on a. They just can't. It's mathematically impossible.
Okay.
In physics, there are just two types of waves, Eddie. They can either they can be longitudinal or they can be transverse. So longitudinal are waves that vibrate in the same line as in the same direction of travel, like a coil. Like sound. Sound is like that. Sound is like a coil. It can be three-dimensional, but it's like a coil. So basically, it's a longitudinal wave. Or waves can be transverse. So transverse means that they vibrate perpendicularly as the direction of travel. So they vibrate like this, but they travel like that. They vibrate like this, but they travel like that. So there are only two types of waves. There is no wave in physics that travels on a curve. Even though these waves do exist, physics cannot explain them. So everybody has seen waves on a balloon or on a hood of a car. Like a Beetle, a Volkswagen Beetle has a hood, that is a curve. You can bang on the hood and there will be vibrations there. But those waves, they cannot be deemed either longitudinal or transverse. They have sections then. They use the word sections. It's a transverse section, a longitudinal section. But the wave itself is not either longitudinal or transverse. So in physics, there are only two types of waves. So when it comes to ocean waves, they're correct. They're straight, really. And there's no other way because it's so visible. They're so empiric. You can easily dive into water and observe them. You can easily reproduce them into a lab. It's very easy to see how the particles move, and the particles do move in circles. And that's why I said initially that many textbooks mention graphs in circles. That's how they do. They put circles. They don't put the X and Y so that people can see visibly how the particles oscillate. But actually they do circles because ocean waves, they are two-dimensional and they are mixed. So in physics, we have longitudinal waves and transverse waves, but ocean waves are both. They're mixed. So they are at the same time longitudinal and at the same time transverse. So the particles, they don't oscillate only transverse or longitudinal. They do both. So they go up, but they also go forth. Then they go down, and then they also go back. So they do circles, really, the particles.
It's very similar. It's very similar to the atmosphere. It's very active. The oceans are very active.
Probably.
Yeah, it is. It is like we were talking about submarines. So submarines, just like the airplane, has to be constantly adjusting its position because the winds throw the airplane either left or right, to the west or east, or up and down. Constantly you have to be. The autopilot has to be correcting all the time, not because of Earth is spinning, but because of the winds. The same thing the oceans. The submarines gets pushed down, sometimes pushed up, because it's constant. The activity of the ocean is constant, right? You know better than me because you are a surfer.
I'm gonna show you. Actually, you've got on the screen right now, Eddie. You can share it right now with people.
Okay.
Let me. The particles moving in waves. That's how particles move. I don't know. Have you got it on the screen already? Yeah, you got it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
There you go. So basically, this is you can see here two black dots. Can you see them, Eddie? Two black dots.
Yes, I can.
This is like a plastic ball that the physicists, they throw in water, so they can observe how the particles of water move, and they move in circles. If you observe just the two plastic balls, look, they do a perfect circle. Can you see that, Eddie?
Exactly, I can see it.
So they don't go just up and down. They also go back and forth. They go up and down and back and forth. So they do a two-dimensional circle. And that's why ocean waves are two-dimensional, because their particles do this movement. And you can see that the ball above, this ball here, does a bigger circle than the ball here, right?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, obviously, the higher up, like the higher here on the surface, the circle will be more or less. Here you can see again, look, particles do a circular movement.
Right.
So and that's what you see in textbooks. In fact, textbooks, they only put these circles.
Okay.
Let me get out. Yeah. So textbooks, they only show those circles. They don't put on a graph. But this professor who came to debate me, he put in a graph. And the graph is very visible. It's an X and Y, Y and X, and the waves travel on the X. But they oscillate, they vibrate also on the Y. So they go like this. Actually, it's a circle, as you can see. And it's a two-dimensional movement. There's nothing that anybody can do against this. This is a fact. It's a scientific fact. There is nothing that anybody can do. So when they come to debate ocean waves, it's the end of the line. They have to go into denial. They have to say things like ocean waves are one-dimensional, ocean waves are three-dimensional, or whatever.
Okay. All right. I did find here the part of this NASA article where it says waves form. Let me read here. Waves form in the atmosphere for a variety of reasons. Sometimes the movement of an air mass over a bumpy feature, a mountain ridge, a volcano, or an island emits a flat sea. So they know, the oceans are flat, and waves fly. So we'll force air to rise or sink, creating ripples in the sky like those propagating across the surface. So this shows two things here. The atmospheric waves, which the airplane is flying right through them. So the autopilot has to be constantly adjusting. And then, talking about the ocean waves over a flat sea. Okay. Very interesting, man. Very interesting. So
Many
go
people
ahead.
ask me, many people ask me, how are waves formed? Well, most people know how waves are formed because they say it's wind. Basically, it's gas. It's the pressure of gas onto the surface of water. So the atmospheric gas makes pressure. It's the wind.
Right.
Wind
Right.
definitely makes waves. But many people ask me, is it the only way? Actually, Eddie, I don't think that's the most important factor that makes waves. I don't think it's the wind. Actually, it is one of them. It's a very important
One of them.
factor. But to me, I'm going to show you another screen here.
Okay.
What
Go ahead.
really makes waves in the ocean, in my opinion, is this. I'm going to show you now.
Okay.
It's
Whenever
sharing,
you're ready.
right? Yeah, sharing.
Yeah, let me add you to here. Add to your stream. Okay. And
Here's my playlist. This is, in my opinion, what makes waves. It's the underwater volcanoes. There are a
Yes.
lot of volcanoes. It's estimated more than 1 million volcanoes underwater, and they release gas all the time.
Yeah.
And when they start releasing gas, they release gas for a long time. They usually release gas for like 3 months, 1 month. They remain active for a very long time.
Right.
So this is, and actually you can see this. Let me see if I can go back here. Actually, I have somewhere here. Look, in this video, you can see volcanoes. Look at this. Look at this. This is a real volcano in the water. Look, so it happened, and they produce waves on the surface, and these waves, even though it's a very deep area, and because it's deep, you don't see the waves. You only see the waves in the shallow areas. You only see waves when they come to break in the coast, but actually it's a wave. It's making waves in the water, and sometimes they make big waves, like in this case.
Right. Yeah.
You will see an image now following. So these gases, they produce a lot of waves, and they can explain wave behavior a lot, because we sometimes get waves in one country, like Japan, for example, where you live, And then at the same time, we get the same waves, same size, same frequency. Look at this one. Look, this is a very big one. Look. For example, in Fiji. So sometimes we get in Fiji the same waves that you get in Japan. Same frequency, same sizes, same everything. So basically they are formed by an epicenter like this, you know. They are formed somewhere in between both places. And the waves, they travel in circles. They hit in one side, they hit Fiji. And then to the other side, they hit Japan. But they hit with the same intensity and the same frequency and the same size. So in my opinion, this is the most important, and I'm back now. Yes, I'm back.
You're back.
This is, in my opinion, the most important factor that really forms waves in the ocean. More than wind, it's the gases that come from underneath, not the gases that come from above. Obviously, both. Even boats, even whales jumping, even anything, even human beings make waves. But in my opinion, this is how waves are formed in the ocean.
All right, that's great. You know, as I was telling you about submarines, when they sometimes there have been cases of submarines that were lost under the sea, sunk, because the waves pushed them down, and they were not able to go back where they, you know, the height they were. A couple of incidents happened before. All right, so tell me about your journey to Flat Earth. How did it all start?
Well, I said in the beginning, it started with this debate. You know, I was a guy totally unknown. I was
No, but you were not a Flat Earther before.
I was
not
an
a Flat
anonymous.
Earther.
I'm a fresh flat earther. Basically, I found flat Earth in the beginning of the pandemics. You know, it was around February of 2020 when I found I had more free time. You know,
a lot of people.
I don't live in Brazil. I am Brazilian, but I live in the UK. So here we like almost 100% of the people, they were put into something called furlough. Basically, we were paid to stay home. So the government paid our salaries, like almost everybody, except those people working for hospitals or, you know, police.
Right.
But people who had like regular jobs, they were sent home to stay home, and the government paid their salaries somehow. So basically, I had free time, and because I had free time, I started watching videos, and then boom, flat Earth. Somebody is saying, "Well, the Earth is flat." Of course, obviously.
Obviously.
It couldn't be more obvious. Obviously, of course, it's flat. I thought for me it was really easy to accept because I am awake, you know. So all I needed was somebody to tell me, you know, boom, of course it's flat. And then immediately I thought, of course, the waves are two-dimensional, right? You know, that for me it was very easy. So it was not very long after that that the professor saw my. I don't know how he found me, you know, but he found me on the comments because I was just a commentator. I was a commentator, and then he found me, and then he arranged this debate. And after the debate, he didn't publish the debate, and because he didn't publish, then I got mad. I got mad because they promised to make fun of me. They promised, you know, that they promised lots of things, and then they suddenly hid the debate. So I spoke, and because I spoke, people started asking me to create a channel. So basically, this channel was created on the public appeal. People started asking me, and we have. I just saw this. There's another friend of mine just arrived here, Nosbor Lopes. He's on the chat now. Nosbor, he can confirm that because he has been following me since day one. He is a subscriber of mine and a friend of mine. And that's how it happened, you know. People like Nosbor, people like Vero, also on the chat, they started asking, Fake Flip, make videos, explain waves. We want to see this in videos. So that's how my channel was born, and it's a very recent story.
Okay. All right, let me give a shout out here for some of the people in the chat. Better Than Gold is here. All these guys from Brazil. You guys are welcome. We are here every week now. covering a lot of stuff, mostly about flights, but I also want to talk about, like tsunamis and waves, all that stuff. So a lot of new people actually, probably mostly because of Fake Flipper here. So big hello, yeah, to every one of you guys. Boa noite, Eri and Fake Flip. Boa noite, Nosbor Lopes. Okay, boa
Nosbor,
noite.
yeah. He's Brazilian
All
like
right.
me.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All right, so I haven't been that active since I left. Actually, my since I left college, I did my master's program on emergency management, and then I worked for a company that had something to do with it. I was living in the U.S. and in the southern part of the U.S. There are a lot of tornadoes, but also I was there when Katrina happened, and then there were a couple more of hurricanes that really devastated all the southeast of the U.S. And I did work during one of them. I was actually working. I was working with the police, fire department, and the police department, working with them. There was this emergency agency, something like that. I forgot the name. Uh, but since we were inland, we worked mostly with the damage caused by the tornadoes and the winds. But some of my friends went to the coast. They went to the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana. They went to New Orleans during the Katrina in hurricane, and I mean, well, a lot of devastations there. But that was a different case. It's not like the regular waves that we have day by day. All right, so let me touch another thing here that I want to talk to my subscribers first. I have a video here. Let me share my screen. Adds to a stream. So this one here is just a little illustration of a wave wrapping around. In this case, is a guy made like a fence around him, and you see the wave is wrapping around. That's what we don't have around Antarctica. And I even have, oh no, we don't have that around Antarctica. And I have
What a
one.
nice video.
Yeah. He's lying down there. And I added Antarctica on top of it. You're going to see playing in a few minutes. And that's what I want to explain to some of the people who watch my tsunami video. We don't have this effect. Say that's Antarctica right there. You will never see a tsunami wave wrapping around Antarctica. Just as I explained, it wraps around Australia, all the small islands, like Fiji, Hawaii, here
Any
in
island.
Japan. But you're never going to see this effect happening around Antarctica because Antarctica is not a continent on the top, on the bottom of the pole.
Exactly. And it's biblical as well. It's written in the Bible.
Right, yeah.
It's in Job.
Is
It's in Job 38:11. It's in Job.
Yeah. Let me go ahead. I want to pull that.
You can share that as well. It's also written in the Bible.
Yeah, let me, Job 38.
Job 38:11 or 38:13. 11 or 13, I don't remember now.
Okay,
but I think it's 11. 38:11.
Let's see. And says, such an account further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Yes, that's our Antarctica.
Exactly. It's talking about the border. So the waves, they will come until the border and no more than the border. They won't wrap, they won't carry on, they will die right there.
Yeah, that's
the confinement, the confinement of water and waves.
Exactly.
Antarctica.
So guys, if you have watched my tsunami video, you see there that actually there's another picture here. This one here illustrates even better. Okay, you see, I mean, this earthquake back in 1965, I think it was.
60.
It took 1960. It took 24 hours, man, to reach Japan. You know, I mean, the intensity, but it never wrapped here and surface in this area right here. Okay, it can't. So that's why I told some of my subscribers, if you don't believe an ice wall, there is an ice wall. You better believe it because these waters are being contained. The energy released by this earthquake was contained in that region due to the fact that Antarctica surrounds our flat Earth.
Yeah. When I started studying tsunami, I studied the 1960s tsunami, this one that you're showing.
Hmm.
But the best example for us is the 2004 tsunami. They were both very strong, and they both arrived everywhere. They both went all over the place,
Okay, I
like
want to.
maximum power, really. But in 2004, there were already many stations and bases in Antarctica. Now, in 1960, there weren't nearly any. So,
Okay.
so for you to obtain evidence of the arrival of the tsunami in all parts of Antarctica, in 1960, you just don't have the information. But when I started studying, I found in 2004, there are so many bases and stations all over Antarctica, and in the globe model, Antarctica is given as an island. So basically, we have bases and stations in the Pacific area, in the Indian area, and also on the Atlantic area. Especially many bases in the Pacific area where there's the Ross Bay area. That's the Pacific Ocean in Ross Bay. And then many, also on the Pacific and Atlantic coasts of the peninsula as well. And none of these bases, they have information on the tsunami. And in fact, one of these bases even replied to me. It's very difficult to obtain information from these bases, Eddie. So I wrote to many of them. And only one of them replied to me. And the one that replied to me is from the Ross Bay. And the Ross Bay is in the Pacific area. And they were categoric. They said, we do not hold any records of this tsunami here in our area, in our base. So basically, it should have arrived there. It should have arrived in the peninsula. It should have arrived everywhere because that's the behavior of a wave. When it bumps into an obstacle, it embraces the obstacle. This is called diffraction. It happens. It's a phenomenon that happens to all waves, not just water waves, but to all waves. So it has to diffract and embrace, hug, or as you said, wrap the obstacle.
Yeah.
And it has to destroy even on the other side. For example, the 2004 tsunami in Australia hit mainly the west coast of Australia. And we have no fanfare here. He's from Australia, so he probably remembers that. It hit the region of Perth, the region of the west coast first, because the tsunami happened in your map there. It was in Sumatra. The epicenter was in Sumatra. So it hit first the west coast. That area there, Fremantle, Perth, that area was hit first. But we have clear evidence of this tsunami destroying and breaking things and causing damage, even in Sydney.
Wow, so that meant it wrapped around here.
Yeah, even in Sydney, it arrived. And I'm pretty sure that No Fanfare can confirm where he lives. He lives in Coffs Harbour. In Coffs Harbour is not very far away from Sydney. It must have arrived in Coffs Harbour too. But the same doesn't happen in Antarctica, So if it hit the Indian Ocean, and this is the Indian Ocean, what you're showing now is the Indian Ocean. So it hit Casey, it hit Mawson, it hit all those stations in that area. Showa, these stations, they have records of this tsunami. But the stations in, for example, McMurdo, that's Ross Bay. That's the Ross Bay. That's the Pacific Ocean. It didn't arrive there. There's nothing. And in fact, one of the bases there, not McMurdo, but another one, replied to me, and they said, we don't have any records whatsoever of this tsunami here. So it doesn't arrive there. It doesn't arrive in anywhere, in fact. So it is a hard fact. Earth is really flat. It's a hard fact. People have to start dealing with facts and accepting facts. It's a hard fact. Earth is flat. God created Earth with a firmament on top, and we are dwelling inside as creatures of God. And people have to start accepting this. It's the fact. Basically, that's it, Banjo.
Yeah. I think Ross station is right here. The reason I did not highlight red line, so I think, well, I'm going to just leave McMurdo here. But I think Ross is the same 166 or 65. I think it's very close from this
No,
one.
this is Ross Bay. The name of this
Yeah,
bay
right
is
here, right?
called Ross Bay, and there are many stations there. Like the Italian station is located there, the New Zealand station, the American station. McMurdo is American,
Right.
you know.
Okay. Yeah, I did have the animation from the 2007, I mean 2004 uh, tsunami, but I don't want to show it. It's on the globe anyway, so it doesn't matter. We don't want to see globe animations. Let's just,
But
yeah.
according to NOAA,
Hmm.
NOAA is the NOAA.
Right,
NOAA
North
is
Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. Yeah,
exactly. So according to these guys, and they're like NASA, they're like the
yeah,
NASA of
yeah.
the oceans.
Right,
So according to them, the tsunami wrapped around, embraced, destroyed everything. In fact, according to NOAA, they have a simulator. All right, anybody can download the simulator and run the simulator. It takes about 30 minutes to run. It's very slow, and it shows the waves just as you showed in your video on the surf there, the guy by the beach. Very similar to
right.
that. It shows wrapping around Antarctica, and they also have written information. They have lots of articles talking about the tsunami happening in the Drake Passage. They have articles also. They have written documents, and they state clearly that the tsunami arrived at the Drake Passage. They say that, but the bases don't confirm. So we have a clear situation here that we have government agencies lying openly to humankind, to humanity. NASA is one of them, and NOAA is another one. Because NOAA said that they arrived at the Drake Passage. They showed the simulator. Actually, they said that in one of these stations in the Ross area, they said that in the Ross area, the waves arrived with 2 meters. They said.
Wow.
in one of their documents, but the
Okay.
stations there don't even have any records of that. So
Let's see.
someone is lying,
Yeah,
Benji,
yeah,
Eddie, someone is lying, and
yeah.
obviously it's not the stations, it's not the researchers, it's not the scientists there, but the government. The government
Yeah,
is lying.
yeah, of course, they have an agenda. The globe is like it's like a political system. They have an agenda. They have to defend. They have to create proofs. They have to create out of thin air, just like they, claim gravity or whatever. So I understand. I understand that. I was watching a video yesterday. Someone sent me of this U-2 airplane flying at, I don't know, really, really high, 70,000 feet. And flat, the whole time flat, flat, flat. And then the pilot said, oh, I can see the curvature of the earth. So, of course, he's a government. He has to lie to the people, And there are extreme consequences if they actually tell, what they see. All right, let me go back here to the chat and see if there's any question. All right, guys, if you have any questions specific for Fake Flip, please write it down. Let me go over some of the comments here. There's a whole bunch.
Someone is asking my name. My name is Raphael, but I'm known as Fake Flip. If people say Raphael, I don't even hear. It's Fake Flip.
Yeah,
I don't even recognize my own name.
That's right. Like Witsit, Witsit's a guy. Witsit gets it. I learned his name was Austin. Like much later.
Yeah. I'd like to give a big shout out to my brother Dog X, Dog Shis. He's in the web chat as well. He's a friend of ours, Brazilian as well.
Okay, I don't know how many people are watching us. Last week, actually, I had a lot. I had 180 people watching. I was like, what? This is a lot of people. I don't know today because there are 4 live streams going on right now. RV Truth is having his, Drika is having his, and somebody else is having a live stream at this moment. So, yeah.
When it comes to a live stream like this, and then people are caught by surprise by a topic that they probably never even heard being discussed in Flat Earth, People don't come up with questions. You say, oh, any questions, but people don't come
Right.
up with questions. So
Yeah.
I will come up with a few questions that have been asked me. People have asked
Okay.
me questions, so I think that could be interesting to people here.
Okay.
One of them is, for example, if you go back to that map, to the flat Earth map, Eddie.
Okay.
On the map, in the 1960, for example, somebody asked me a question once, because I keep saying that ocean waves can only be explained on a flat Earth. So the guy came to me and said, "Hey, Fake Flip, how can you explain then that the wave of 1960, the tsunami of 1960 that originated, the epicenter was on the coast of Chile, very close to the coast, in fact. How can you explain that it arrived in about 12 hours, 12 to 13 hours in California, but at the same time, in about 12 to 13 hours, it arrived also in New Zealand? And the distance is clearly is huge, the distance to New Zealand, but to the United States, it's so near," he said. Look, the United States is so near to Chile, but New Zealand is so far away. How do you explain that the wave arrived at the same time in about 12 hours? And then you can explain that with the depth. So the answer is the depth, Eddie, and to all the people in the chat, the answer is depth. The depth in water waves is what causes the refraction. So many people here are probably studying optics and why the boats disappear and blah blah blah. So in optics, you deal with the waves of light, and the refraction of light in the atmosphere is the density in the atmosphere that causes the waves to refract. Well, in water, we don't have different media. It's all water. It's all the same medium. So there is no change of densities. Even though some waters can be more saline than others, basically it doesn't interfere in the refraction of the waves. So what causes the refraction and reduces the speed of waves and also bends the waves is the depth. So in shallow waters, the waves they break, they reduce speed, and they bend. And in deep waters, they travel quick. So that's what happened in 1960. The wave went in a circle, but the part of the circle that went along the coast of America is a shallow area. So for the wave went refracting, reducing speed and breaking, and bending, and also reducing power. Those regions, they were actually not very much affected. Few people died. There was very little destruction in America, Central America, South America, except Chile. Chile was very well destroyed, but the other places not. That's because of refraction. So wave traveled along the continent, and it's a shallow area. But when the same wave traveled to the other side of the ocean, that area is deep, very deep. And then because of depth, the wave traveled quickly and arrived there in New Zealand and in Australia pretty quickly, at the same time as it hit the United States in about 12 to 13 hours. So this is an interesting question that was once asked, and since people they were caught by surprise, and now my friend Edu, a chave da ciência, also in the house. Big shout out to him. So people have asked me these questions, Eddie, and so I thought that was an interesting one to answer.
Yeah, it is. Excellent. Let me see here if we have anything else here on the chat. All right, so very interesting. I plan to bring you back here one more time. And actually, whenever you are online, if you want to join us. But next week, I plan to bring the guy behind the documentary. I don't know if you watch it, Heliosorcery.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's a really, really good documentary. It's a Bible, not really biblical, but he exposes the Jesuits as the architects of all the heliocentric model. So we've been friends for several years, I think 3 years. exchanging messages. They are from Australia, and I invited him to talk about heliosorcery. So I'm going to be with him next week here, perhaps. Let's see if everything goes all right. Let me bring some other stuff here. So some people were asking me why can't they super chat me? See, I can't monetize YouTube. You know, these are the messages they sent me that my flat Earth content, my channel is flat Earth only. I don't talk about anything else but flat Earth. And see here, content that focuses on controversial issues and that is harmful to viewers. So yeah, I mean, they will not let me monetize my channel. I cannot have super chat here. So there's no other way, guys. There's, I mean, they won't allow me because I talk about flat Earth. I want to talk about these other comments here. This is from another guy. And, you know how they say there's no up and down on Earth? Like up is everywhere, down is in the center of the Earth. So I asked this guy on BitChute about how about space? And he said north is the direction the sun is traveling. So in his opinion, I don't know how they come up with that because there's no north and south in space, right? But he said that the direction where the sun is traveling towards the north. So how can you figure out north or south in space? I don't think there's a way. I don't know. Have you heard anything about this?
No, but it does make sense. I think it makes sense that the sun travels north because the north is the center of the east and west. So east and west is a circle around the north.
Right.
So yeah, east and west is a circle around the north. So since the sun is going west, there will be a moment that the sun will be at 180 degrees from where you are.
Right.
So if I'm here and the sun will move in front of me, there will be a moment that it will be in Japan where you are now, and it will be 180 degrees from my position. So basically, It will be behind the north. It will be behind the north. So it makes sense. It does make sense.
No. But this guy is talking about in the heliocentric model. So in the heliocentric model, he's saying that in space, there is a north in space. How can you figure out north in space in the heliocentric model?
No.
I mean, it makes no sense.
North is given by the compass.
Right, exactly.
So north is given in relation to Earth. One place on Earth has the north, which is the magnetic area. Right.
Okay. So, but this guy was talking about space, that sun is traveling towards the north in space. I mean, it makes no sense. Another comment here that I saved is this one here. So this guy was we were talking about flight trackers like Flight Radar 24 or Flight Aware. So he sent me this a couple of days ago. Flight tracker sites are fake. In 2014, my flight from Dubai to Ukraine was canceled right at boarding. We all got off plane and sat in waiting room. But on Flight Radar 24, I saw my flight leave Dubai and head to Ukraine. Astonished, I watched my plane arrive in Ukraine. Yeah, plane was sitting at terminal gate in Dubai. My girlfriend was also tracking my flight and waited in Ukraine. No plane arrived. She was also astonished. That glitch revealed fake tracking of planes. Transponders are more fake tech, which probably don't even work. Flight paths are logged into computers, which project planes' progress onto little CGI maps. In real world, actual plane could go to Bongo Bongo and nobody would know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when we talk about emergency landings, that's the only time that you really know where the plane is. That's the only time, Like this flight I talked about a couple of weeks ago, going from Hong Kong to London. So the the tracker, has this flight coming south of Russia over Turkey, all that region. But that plane was flying over Russia the whole time, So you never know unless we have an emergency landing where these airplanes really are. And another comment here that I saved for this for today. And this one here. You cannot gain momentum without additional force. If that force is the atmosphere, one, what evidence is there that small gas particles can force an airplane along the same path of rotation? And two, what difference is there to be taken into account at various altitudes? Because at 15,000 feet, the density of air is 4 times or 400 times greater than at 40,000 feet. Thus, each airplane would be affected differently and thus would take different flight path. If that's not the case, then Earth is not spinning. Okay, so I mean, some people leaving those comments here, I find it interesting, and I
There are
want
some
to.
interesting questions on your chat. There's somebody asking how many people are waking up to the reality of flat Earth. Well, Brazil, Banjo, Eddie, you're Brazilian, so you probably know that Brazil has millions of flat earthers. And there
Yes,
was once,
yes.
there was, I think in 2017 or 2000, I don't know, 17, 18, there was actually a research done by an institute of research. And they came up with the number of 11 million Brazilians would be flat earthers back then. I don't know if you knew that,
Yeah,
Eddie.
yeah, I remember because it was published in English also. I think several newspapers. Yeah.
But that was back then. So if we go today, if we do the same research today, it was probably more than that. I was watching the other day a show on television. I'd like to give shout out to my brother, to my friend Humberto Alves, also on the web chat here, friend of mine, Humberto. So I was watching a show on Brazilian TV the other day, and the guy, he doesn't believe flat Earth, and he was joking around, and then he said, "Let me ask my people here, my employees." Then he asked the cameraman, he asked the guy there, and two of them were flat earthers. I said, "No, I can't. Let's go to the let's see the audience. Let's make a poll." And then people would call in and say what they believed. And then it was ridiculous. It was like 60% of his public, towards again more than half of his public, were flat earthers. And so it reflects the truth.
Yeah,
People are waking up, especially in Brazil. I think Brazil is really the land of the awake. We have the political movement of people waking up, politically speaking, in Brazil. We have a president that is just an incredible person as well, and so there is an awakening in Brazil. So it's no wonder why Brazil has so many flat earthers.
right. So I see Vero Vero Banjo. I worked for 16 years in an airline called Varig here in Brazil. And when we went to the cockpits, the windows weren't domed like the passenger windows, and we saw the flattened land. So I just uploaded a video to another backup channel. This guy, Alex Pilot, he used to upload a lot of good videos and showing the flat land that we are. Let me see, Banjo work. Let me see this. What do you think of the NASA Artemis 1 launch? Let me show this comment here. Banjo, what do you think of the NASA Artemis 1 launch? This is an unmanned launch and their tests for the manned mission back to the moon, which will be Artemis 2. We know Apollo was fake, so it's kind. So where are the stars? I keep asking that Brian Myers, the guy who debated with Sid, where are the stars? I mean, they've been flying for 6 days in space, they're showing live, but we can't see a single star. So it's probably a Hollywood, movie set somewhere in California where they are showing. And all those models, I've seen before, they use props, props. I mean, it's all a film. All right, guys, we are getting close to finishing our live stream today. I'm trying to keep it 75 minutes short, so we got 5 more minutes to go. If you guys would like to ask any more questions to Fake Flip, if you want to add anything else, like your last words.
Um, well, I always say that waves, waves, they are the end of the line. There's no way there's no way around the waves. Waves, they are how do you say in English?
There's no way
It's the,
around. Like,
it's the end
yeah,
of the line. If
yeah,
you come to debate waves, you will go into denial. Waves can only be explained on flat Earth. There are two theories that are the most important theories that explain waves in the ocean. One for shallow waters and one for deep waters. It's called the linear wave theory by George Airy, and the other one is George Stokes. Actually, two Englishmen wrote the theories for waves, and George Stokes wrote the finite amplitude theories. So there's the finite amplitude theories and also the linear wave theories, and they both can only be explained on the pizza model. That there's no other way, because waves are two-dimensional. There's no other way
Yeah.
around it. So good luck to those who want to debate. Waves can only be explained on a flat Earth. I'm sorry.
All right. So, guys, that's gonna be it for today. We're approaching the final minutes of our live stream, and I'm planning to bring someone else next week to talk about the movie, the documentary Heliosorcery. I have mirrored the documentary here on my channel, so if you guys want to watch, it's worth watching. It was really well produced, and there's a lot of stuff that's information that you all should be able to grasp, right? So thanks everyone. We're here today, and I really appreciate, guys. Thank you, Fake Flip, for being here. Please remain in studio. We're gonna be finishing talking in a minute. I forgot to show my. Well, that's fine. Sound Thai word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So, guys, thanks a lot. I'm gonna run here our banner, and I'll see you next time, guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
There was a documentary just put out yesterday,
Yep.
a good one, by the way, people should check out, called Flatten the Curve, by a bunch of pilots and military people. That's our term. That's our flat Earth term.
We're still live, Eddie.